Hello, loves. Welcome to the Quantum Status Mini Podcast. I am your hostess, Melany Hope. Our topic today is consciousness. We're not going to wait for anyone to hop on because this is starting unbelievably late, and I won't go into why. I'll just get into it. So, welcome. I am a quantum status practitioner, and I specialize in self-worth adaptation. So teaching people how to stop giving away their power to other things and places and even institutions in order to grow and expand their energies so that they can use their energies to actually create the life that is worthy of them, in a nutshell. There is a lot more to it than simply that, but that kind of is the gist of things here. So let's get started. Consciousness. Consciousness, our thought, our ability to use our imagination. These are very, very powerful things. And if we actually tap in to what is going on there, then we can create amazing things in our lives. Everything from the way that we prefer to feel on a daily basis to the type of home we want or vehicle we want, status we want, these sorts of things. But for a lot of us, we've gone through a stage of lack. And it really messes us up in the worst ways. So when we go through a stage of lack, we forget about how good it feels to have things. And we forget about what those things look like and just the whole connection with them. We lose that connection with them. And then we get into these cycles of devaluation. Devaluation of ourself, devaluation of what we had, devaluation of what is really there for us. And it destroys us over time. And we get into even more of a state of lack, where we're perpetuating now that cycle, and it is becoming worse and worse and worse and worse and worse as time goes on. And what ends up happening is we keep pulling more negative things into the cycle, and we keep saying things like, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have, I don't have, I don't have, instead of saying, I have. And when we take a phrase like, I have to do, we apply the negative connotation as opposed to the abundant connotation. The abundant connotation would be this: I have in my possession what is needed to do this with. Instead of, I have to do this. See the difference? One is a stress, projected feeling, emotion of, I have to do this. Whereas the other is, I have what is needed to do this. So if we can start to switch the energy that we're pulling to the surface in these areas, we'll start to notice that we have less of a tendency to jump to the more stressful dynamic. I drink a lot of tea in these, so it's just my thing. Anyway, so that's one aspect. Consciousness really needs to be one where we are focusing on our joy and we are focusing on what we have and not what we do not have. So we can start with that, and it will really begin to change our lives. The other part of this is that most of us do not realize we're giving away our value. our worth every single moment of every single day. We might say, okay, I have created this life and I like what I have. Okay, great. If you've created your life and you like what you have, let me ask you a question. Is it truly what you have created, or is it owned by someone else? Is it being lended to you where you're making payments on it, or is it actually yours? Because this is another huge shift in our consciousness. Most people do not actually own what they have. Their car is on lease, or they're making payments on it. And in North and South America, if you do not actually pay in silver or gold or another precious metal for your vehicle or your home or your land, you do not actually own it. That's something a lot of people don't know, but it might be something worth looking into. If you really want to own your property, then you actually have to go to a higher level and purchase it with silver or gold. Otherwise, it's actually owned by the bank, because paper money is paper money. It has no real value except what the bank allows it to have. So politics, and we get into a lot of other things that are more negative connotations, and I prefer to stay away from those. But it's good to know. So if you wake up every morning and you say, oh, look at the life I've created, and then the first thought that enters your mind is, oh, but how am I going to make my bank payment? How am I going to pay for the lease or pay for the loan? You know, pay for the mortgage. Yes, it's yours. Everyone else can see it as belonging to you. Only you really know that the bank owns it. So where does your self-worth go? Where is your self-worth? Is your self-worth saying, I am majestic, I am complete, I am worthy of all of this? Actually belong, not really mine. Therefore, you are still in an enslaved mindset. And this is why the law of attraction won't work for you. Because when we are in an enslaved mindset, we cannot see ourselves as worthy. We see ourselves as working hard, working super, super hard, and doing everything we can in our lives to create and create and create and create what we want in our lives. But we don't actually see ourselves or who we are or what we are as being majestic or worthy or valuable, because we are still, even with this life that we've created that everyone else can see as amazing and abundant, we still ourselves are not seeing. Pardon me. Sorry about that, guys. We still have amazing abundance. So what can we do with our consciousness to flip it? How can we flip into a state of consciousness where we are seeing the abundance, we are seeing the wealth, we are seeing the worthiness, we are seeing who we really are and what we deserve as a human being, as a conscious creator, as a god or a goddess with these creative abilities? How can we do this? This is not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. The way that you start to do this is you start to accept that you are so much more than what you've allowed yourself to be. Your level of self-worth is going to equal the level of possessions that you actually own outside of yourself. Your level of self-worth is actually going to equal the amount of joy that you experience inside of yourself. This is the truth, guys. It doesn't matter if you're owned by the bank, as long as you don't see yourself as owned by the bank. It doesn't matter what you have or what you do not have, as long as you are continuing to invest in yourself and see worthiness in yourself and practice worthiness for yourself. Wake up in the morning, and this may sound strange to some of you, but this is real. Give yourself a hug and let that energy go right into your body, right into your DNA, right into your conscious, subconscious, and then physical mind and heart. Let it all go right inside of you and feel that love, feel that worthiness, because this is what you are missing. This is what we are not doing for ourselves. We're looking at what we have on the outside. But as I've said many times before, one of the universal laws is as within, so without. So when you're ready to really see your life change, then be ready to start honoring your self-worth, your worthiness, not anyone else's. Because once you've learned how to honor your worthiness and create the life that you want to have, that is honoring to you and worthy of you, then you're going to know how to do the same thing for others. Love yourself so much that that love just spills out of you onto everybody else around you, where they can't help but feel joy when they're in your energy, where they can't help but feel abundance and richness the moment that they look at you. Allow these things to just spill out of you. When we give exterior things our power, you say, well, I can't be rich unless I work really, really, really hard. That's giving away your power. Because your ability to create and manifest things in your life doesn't come from how hard you work. It comes from your conscious creative ability. Of course, I've talked about the quantum field in a lot of my other podcasts, and we've gone into all of the energy side of it and how energy connects with our electromagnetic energy of the subconscious mind, etc., etc. But we are in one of the largest energy shifts the planet Earth has ever seen. People are having aches in their joints, they're getting flu symptoms, all of these things, and the doctors are saying, well, there's nothing really wrong with you. And the person's saying, well, yes, there's something wrong with me. I feel like crap. And the doctor's saying, no, can't find anything wrong. Must just be a little cold or something. And people are like, why am I hurting so much? Because our energy is shifting. We are truly going through a dimensional shift right now. There are a lot of us who are not accepting this because it's not on mainstream media. And it will not be on mainstream media, because if it was on mainstream media, then people would begin to realize, well, wait a minute. I have an energetic power inside of me. Maybe that law of attraction stuff is right. Maybe those universal laws are right. And if that happened, then the government would fall pretty quickly, because people would stop tolerating a lot of what we've been tolerating. But the truth is, you are an extremely powerful. Your energy is very powerful. Your electromagnetic energy is very powerful. Your heart energy is super powerful. Your subconscious and conscious energy is very powerful. We are coming into a telepathic age where you will think and feel something, and then, the person next door will start to think and feel the same thing. Now, they may pass it off as not being appropriate for them or really how they feel, but we are passing into this telepathic time now. There are more energy healers and psychics that are coming out, fully coming out and saying, I have this ability. I don't know where it came from, but I can read your mind right now. And this is still very controversial. These quantum type things are still very controversial. But that's why I'm doing this podcast, is because I know they're real. I experience these on a regular basis. So the most important thing that I want to convey with the Quantum Status podcast, and I will talk about it in pretty much every podcast I do, is that we need to own our worthiness and our quantum abilities. We need to own those, discover them, find out what they are, and work with them if we really want to change our lives. Because this factory slavery 9-to-5 mentality, owned by the bank, working for the weekends, is no way to live. It's no way to live. We all know this inside. The shift in consciousness is waking up many, many more of us. And there's supposed to be some huge, huge shifts coming in the next 2 months. So if you notice that all of a sudden you're saying, wow, I can actually say I'm awesome, whereas before I couldn't say that, it's because you're being systematically and energetically realigned with our natural energy here on planet Earth, to actually accept your worthiness, not simply what school taught you. So I would like to leave it there. If you have any questions or you'd like to book a session with me, you can put your questions in the, I always point to the wrong side. You can put your questions in the comments here on the podcast, and I'll get to them as soon as I can, those that I can answer. And if you would like to book a session with me, you can also leave a request for that in the comments, or you can go straight to my Facebook page, which is listed above here, and you can book a session with me there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you all. Namaste. Gratitude always.